Stay home as much as possible is the main ask during this public health crisis. It's easier said than done for some and has revealed a wider swath of people than expected who are experiencing housing insecurity. Mary Baxter has that story from our Ontario Hub in London, and she joins us now. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, Dan.
Now, you've written extensively on TVO.org about homelessness, specifically hidden homelessness. Can you characterize what hidden homelessness looks like?
Well, I think you mentioned the term hidden homelessness, and a lot of people might think of things like couch surfing, staying with family or friends. But it's actually a much broader category, if you want to call it that. There was a study done in 2017 in rural and northern Ontario that revealed that people who are living in hidden homelessness may be doing things like squatting, or they might be even climbing into crawl spaces under someone's home at night, that sort of thing. It's also about hiding homelessness from authority in a way. So a lot of people they may not apply for social assistance, for instance, because of the stigma that they see attached to it, or they might lack documentation, that sort of thing.
Now, some circumstances, there are many circumstances as to why people may become homeless, but can you explain some circumstances we usually don't factor in when thinking of reasons why people become homeless?
Yeah, sure. I spoke to Professor Stephen Getz, who is the president of the Canadian Observatory on Homelessness, and he's at York University, and he pointed out that a lot of homelessness actually happens in relation to institutional policies. So, for instance, with hospitals, there's an understanding that people do better recovering at home. So, a lot of the hospital policies are built around, releasing people to their homes to recover. But if you don't have a home, where do you go? People might be released into a shelter, for instance. With prisons, the same sort of thing. A lot of people get released back into homelessness. They have no place to go. And what Professor Getz said was that with the recidivism rate for those people is actually higher than if they actually had a location to go to. And then finally, the other one is to do with our child welfare system. When young people age out of welfare, as we know in this day and age, it's hard enough, even if you have a job, to find a place to live. Imagine if all of a sudden that income that you've been relying on to support you during your formative years all of a sudden is gone.
I want to look at maybe grading Ontario's response. Obviously, you spoke to some experts. What is Ontario doing, or how is Ontario doing at providing safety for people experiencing homelessness?
Well, there's both good and there's bad, and a lot of it is around the shelters. One of the big challenges with homeless, absolute homeless populations is that when you live on the street, you age a lot faster. So, like
Right.
if you're 50, you would actually be closer in physical age to 65. Have a lot of physical ailments involved as well, because that's really tough living. In shelters, it's congregate living. It's the same. That's group housing in the same way it is in long-term care facilities. And we've seen how the virus COVID-19 has just ripped through long-term care. It's the same kind of risk in shelters. But the good part is that that's widely recognized across the province by municipalities. They've been doing a really good job in moving people into spaces like hotels, so that they're able to gain some physical distancing, and also to increase physical distancing in the shelters.
I'm curious, with the experts you spoke to, have they said anything about, what the homeless population will look like when we're on the other side of this pandemic?
There's a lot of concern out there about homeless numbers actually increasing. So Professor Getz pointed to some work that had been done in the United States to do with what happens after eviction moratoriums are lifted. And in New York State, for instance, they every year they have a space of time where they don't evict people. And after that point, evictions rise quite dramatically. And there's been some modeling done on that, which shows that in the United States, if there's no intervention made, then you could see homeless numbers on the streets increasing by about a third, and a doubling of people asking for assistance. So that's without any intervention. The big thing is that planning is needed, and if that takes place, then hopefully that size will be people being homeless or at risk of homeless will be prevented. But that is the big challenge right now, both in the United States and here in Canada, of course.
I want to talk about one of your articles. There was a quote that stayed with me, and I want to read it. It was "Never waste a crisis." Can you explain that approach? What does that exactly mean?
That's such a good line. It came from a municipal official in Chatham, Kent, because what happened in Chatham, Kent was when the COVID-19 shutdown happened, they saw a sudden increase in homelessness numbers. And they reacted quite quickly to create an emergency shelter for them. But there was still this lingering question of what happened, where are people coming from? And so the shelter, it's not only a chance to help them and to help them find homes again, but it's also a chance to find out and answer those questions of what happened so that they can prepare for the future and prevent that risk of homelessness where they can.
Mary Baxter, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, of course, bringing very important stories from Southwestern Ontario. That's Mary Baxter, our Ontario Hub journalist covering Southwestern Ontario. Thank you again.
Thanks, Jan.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.